So I wanted to talk about the crux of yesterday's video and strike while the iron is hot on Sora still having the power of the X-Blade. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. When Remind starts, Sora visits Charity and Nomura essentially nurse Sora, removing the power of Awakening. When he removes the power of Awakening, what this does is make room for Sora to begin to understand the abilities that he already has, instead of relying on this ability that allows him to do all of these crazy things, such as change destiny, change fate. Since he's lost this power, of course, it's more than likely it won't come back. And the reason why I'm saying it more than likely won't come back is because his heart has already been damaged enough, and I'll explain this part in another video. So this will lead into another topic, which is nice because I need more topics to talk about. So it pretty much does a lot of damage to his heart, which causes him to be sent to unreality. Essentially, he just gets lost or misplaced because his heart cannot be sustained in a way that it remains in the reality. So when he goes to unreality, Sora is nerfed and he doesn't have the power of awakening to return. So let's talk about the next point. Sora begins to learn about how to utilize the powers he's been given by Master Xehanort, learning to trace his connections, which has been hinted at throughout the rest of the series. All of the series, Sora has been hinted at to be connected to characters. Even in Kingdom Hearts 1, when he carried the 7 Princesses of Heart, and then of course when we saw his Station of Awakening, we saw that Riku and Kairi were on his station, his Die to Heart, and of course on his little pane window glass heart, you could see Riku and Kairi. Now, of course, this would also be used later on in the future, in which other characters can be shown to have connections as well, but Sora has been the only character in which these connections seem to be something that is tangible. However, Sora has never wound up utilizing this power, although interestingly, he does wind up using it in Remind. Now, he does use the power of awakening as a crux here to recognize that he can do these things, but I think that this is going to shift to him simply using his abilities, because when he goes on the hunt for Kairi's heart within Skyla at Kylam, we see Xehanort meet up with Sora and he's doing the exact same thing. In fact, he can even see on Sora the aura of light that proves that he's using the power of awakening to run around throughout time and to once again start grabbing and pulling hearts from destruction, because Charity confirms that Kairi's heart was completely destroyed. He pulls her heart from its destruction and begins to put the pieces together. This is a process that Kairi will have to complete herself within Kingdom Hearts Memory of Melody, but of course, obviously, Sora gets it started by getting enough of the pieces for her to be not completed, but for her to be capable of coming back. So in Memory of Melody, she does the rest of the work, but Sora is essentially being shown to be tested by Master Xehanort to utilize these abilities that he now has. And how do we know that he's testing him? Well, when they meet up, Xehanort puts three different claims out there. He tells Sora once again about paying the ultimate price. He tells him how many pieces of Kairi's heart are left for him to find. And then, of course, he also tells him that he's running out of time. So pretty much he's essentially helping Sora, dude. Like, he's helping Sora within Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind when he reaches Skyla at Kylam and is looking for the pieces of Kairi's heart that reside there. And he even tells him that he hid them. So he's pretty much testing him to see if he can still, I'm guessing to see if he can still utilize these abilities, or begin to show him that he has these abilities. Because when he returns, obviously, we'll start to see him develop these abilities more and more, should this 100% be the case, and he does still have the power of the X-Blade, which when he can do things like go into the giant door that leads to what I believe to be the door that Vanitas was talking about, which I've already spoken about in another video, which you guys can go check out if you're just now catching up with me. The giant door that Vanitas talks about that connects all worlds, in which he connects all of the keyholes, which leads to different places in the universe where his friends are after they've been sucked into the keyholes. That big black thing swallowed me up. Oh my god, every time I think about that dude. But anyways, Sora is shown to utilize abilities that you would think he wouldn't have if he isn't, of course, the wielder of the X-Blade. So the next thing is memory of melodies. When he projects himself onto Sora, and I'm gonna cut right here because this is not a Papu Fruit ability. Some people may try and attribute it to a Papu Fruit ability. It's not a Papu Fruit ability. We know from Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep when Aqua describes the Papu Fruit and what power it has. The Papu Fruit essentially just keep you connected through time. So you're always destined to intersect at some point with someone you share a Papu Fruit with. Or even rather, you're destined to spend the rest of your life with that person, because even if y'all separate, you're destined to come back. It's essentially the oath to return that we see at the end of Kingdom Hearts. He makes that oath before he disappears, but at the same time too, due to the fact that they finally enjoyed the Papu Fruit together, which is why this is important, Sora is destined to return to her. Regardless of what transpires, he's destined to come back. And now we can move on to the final piece. In Memories and Melodies, Sora projects himself onto Kairi. When he projects himself onto Kairi, this is shown to be a thing in which it appears that Sora essentially wipes away her presentation. Like, because the way Nomura talks about hearts in Kingdom Hearts is that the soul is pretty much the memories and their feelings, and the heart is basically a projection of that. So your heart projects you outwardly. That's why when Sora got close to Kairi in Kingdom Hearts 1 on the ship, I forgot his name. On the ship, Kairi reacts, like she slightly reacts because her heart, the projection of her heart is close enough to her heart that, you know, what she feels can be projected through her body. So it's kind of like a projection, and Nomura has confirmed that. I'm not going to go hunt through the interviews to find it, but he did confirm that that's how it is. The body is essentially a projection. So if he can use her heart to project himself, then that would mean he has more control over the heart, meaning that he would more than likely have to have some higher scale of abilities, a higher scale of abilities than he's ever had before. And if he lost the power of awakening, what ability could he be using? Because he uses the power of awakening as a crux within Kingdom Hearts Remind, but he does it again here to project himself through Kairi. So that would have to be nothing other than the Keyblade. But I wanted to also talk about another thing as well, because I saw a couple of people ask, how can he summon it? Well, we know that Xehanort has already paid the cost of the 13 Darknesses. I think since Sora is starting to learn about him being actually able to utilize these connections, it's more so going to be a thing of him utilizing these connections with the awareness of the 7 Guardians to not pay the cost to the X-Blade for the 7 Guardians, meaning that he doesn't have to do the same sacrifice as Xehanort, because he has these connections as a natural ability, a natural gift, that if he could learn to connect to all 7 of these characters at one time, just him wanting to use the power will be granted to him by the X-Blade, because he'll have the 7 that needs to be the cost of 7 will be granted to the Keyblade to be summoned, since the cost of 13 is already paid. So that's how I think this is all going to function. Of course, this is just a little short breakdown to get you guys to understand where I come from when I say that Sora has the power of the X-Blade, because I know a lot of people, they don't, like, a lot of people when they see my videos, they don't, keep up with every single video. But I wanted to make a specific video to talk about why I think Sora has the power of the Keyblade, and why I'm actually, I want to say 70% confident that he does have the power of the X-Blade. We've already started to see things that he wasn't capable of doing before. He hasn't done any training for. He lost the power of awakening. That was the point of me mentioning that Nomura nerfed him, because he lost the power of awakening, and he's still showing higher scales of power. Like, being able to project yourself through somebody else's heart, never shown before. Xehanort would have been doing it if it was possible. So let me know what you guys think. This has been your boy Mazia. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and if you screw up, there's always tomorrow. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace the heck